I'm making a slightly darker colour for the archway on the bridge. Over the bridge is dark stone, dark granite, and we need a darker colour for that. And that's about right, so I'm just blocking that in as one continuous arc, which I can scrape into later with a palette knife to show the mortar between the stones. I think that's about right. But to continue this round, there are a few other stones that kind of colour. The lintels above the square arches are that sort of colour, and a few of the stones on the buttresses are that sort of colour as well. It just helps to lend some solidity to the painting. A slightly lighter version of this with a little burnt sienna and white into that mix will give me the colour for the left hand side of the bridge. And if I do it in an angular way, I don't want to paint the whole bridge in stone by stone, but these are huge granite blocks, several tons each, and so I can actually give the impression that these are big stones by painting them in individual squares, slightly different colours. But I don't want to do that everywhere because it'll be a bit of a cliche really. But by allowing the background colour to show through, I can really show that these are individual stones near to me, not further away. In the left hand side where the bridge is closest to me, just a little bit of detail. And I've just noticed actually this square hole in the bridge, the left hand of the arches, is actually quite curved and lumpy. It's got stones coming out of it at all kinds of angles, lovely big granite blocks, and they make these bridges to last. Part of this tree looks okay as it is. I'm just going to elaborate on it, and I'm holding the brush in what I said before is a sign writer's grip, so I can twist and turn the end of it and give me these nice branches that move and go into different shapes. The tree itself is not a major part of the composition, but it does need to be applied and given a little bit more prominence. It's fairly dark, lovely old tree, growing up out of shot. Show the current of the river just flowing down where there's not a lot happening. The river is flowing down and around past me, and I want to give the look a diagonal look by putting in some of these little lines and little spots. Underneath the left hand opening there is quite a dark area, and there are some plants that contrast nicely with it, and I haven't done that dark enough, so I'm going to just clean this bright off, get rid of some of the paint, and make a dark greyish brown, burnt sienna, ultramarine, a little red to warm it up, and work back and drag the colour of the arch down the underside. It's fairly dark, as a reflection of the dark. That will give me something to contrast these plants with, and I think I need something also under the archway, and to increase the contrast of the light shining under the bridge, I'm just going to darken the areas around it, if you see what I mean, darkening the area where it flows out, and again keeping the strokes coming down diagonally to show the flow of the river. What I'm going to do now is swap to a palette knife and use the knife to scrape the paint off to show the mortar, little strokes of the knife, to show the mortar around the archway of the bridge. Just a few scrapes, not too many, otherwise it's a bit of a cliche. So that's probably enough, I think, of that. Dragging the colour down into the underside of the bridge with the knife, that also shows the way the water comes. And if I take a knife and just drag it down, I'll also get an effect of current, like so, just bringing a few little ripples in to show the water rippling down. And now I'm going to put paint on the knife and actually just apply a little paint to where these twigs and things are growing up out of the riverbank into the shadow, just to imply that there's something happening. I'm not going to try and make a detailed study of these twigs, but they're there, they're quite bright and they're contrasty, and they do bring the foreground a little to life. Pretty random, and I can also scrape back to show some as well, and a dark version of the same. Not sure what they are, but they're big coarse grasses, I think. And right down in the foreground where we've got some moss and some dark stones, I want to bring the foreground right towards me, staying with a knife now, dark greyish brown in amongst these stones. That will bring this area into the foreground, and I think that as a little fairly rapid oil sketch works fairly well. I'm quite pleased with that now, and at that point what I should say to myself is stop messing about, and so I'm going to stop messing about and call that finished.